It is, without a doubt, one of the most famous addresses on the entire planet. But, the White House isn't just a home for the US president. It's the command center for a global superpower. And because of that, it has to be protected at all costs. So let's dive in and find out what makes this place a true modern-day fortress. So that's the big question we're asking today. What exactly goes into making this building arguably the most secure place on the planet? Now, the question sounds simple, but the answer? Oh, it is incredibly complex. And to really get it, we first have to understand the sheer scale of the challenge. All right, first up, let's just talk about the grounds. The White House sits on a sprawling 18 acres, right in the heart of Washington, D.C. Now, to put that in perspective, that's like 13 football fields all stitched together. That is a massive perimeter to secure, and believe me, every single inch is under constant watch. And then you move inside, and the challenge just gets bigger. The mansion has 132 rooms. Think about it. At any given moment, the president could be in any one of them, working, meeting, just resting. That means that for the security teams, every single room has to be treated as a potential target. And connecting all those rooms to the outside world? 147 windows. Now, if you're thinking about security, every single one of those is a potential vulnerability, a direct line of sight for an attack. So how on earth do you protect against something like that? Well, that brings us to our very first layer of defense, the building's own impenetrable shell. The structure itself is designed from the ground up to be the first line of defense, ready to withstand a direct assault. I mean, the most obvious threat to all those windows is a long-range attack, right? A sniper. A single shot from thousands of feet away could be absolutely catastrophic. So, of course, the White House has to be prepared for that exact scenario. And this is not just some theoretical threat. In November of 2011, a man actually fired a rifle at the White House from 2,100 feet away. One of those bullets hit a second-story window, and get this, it was the window of a room where President Obama's daughter was. But that bullet never made it inside. It was stopped cold by state-of-the-art ballistic glass. A terrifying, real-world test that proved just how effective this first layer really is. And then, of course, there's that iconic iron fence. After a few security breaches, it got a major upgrade back in 2019. It was nearly doubled in height to over 10 feet tall. But here's the really clever part. The innovation is hidden. The fence is now packed with pressure sensors that are designed to trigger an alarm if anyone even thinks about climbing it. The slightest touch and security knows before an intruder even gets a foot off the ground. So, moving out from the building and onto the grounds, we enter the second layer of defense, what I like to call the all-seeing perimeter, because once you get past that fence, an intruder is stepping into a true technological trap. You've probably heard that old saying, but here, it's pretty much literal. The entire 18-acre lawn is completely blanketed by a network of infrared sensors. There is not a single inch of ground that isn't being watched. A person, an animal, even a small bird landing on the grass gets detected in real time. And if one of those sensors is tripped, snipers from the SWAT team are already watching from the roof. But what if an intruder is fast and somehow makes it over the fence? Well, the next response is immediate, and it is incredibly fast. Elite Belgian Malinois guard dogs are deployed. These dogs can run at 50 kilometers per hour, closing the distance in just seconds. In fact, back in 2014, when a man did manage to jump the fence, he was neutralized by these dogs almost instantly, holding him down until human agents could make the arrest. Okay, so the building is secure, the ground is secure, but what about the air? That brings us to the third layer of defense, which protects the White House from any threat that might come from above. Officially, the airspace directly over the White House is a strict no-fly zone. Simple as that. Nothing is supposed to fly over it. Period. Right. But a rule is only as good as its enforcement. So if a plane, or maybe something way more sinister, were to violate that airspace, what happens next? This is how. Installed after the 9/11 attacks, the White House is protected by a hidden surface-to-air missile system. It's capable of shooting down pretty much anything, planes, drones, you name it. And this system was a secret until November 2019. A plane accidentally entered the no-fly zone, which triggered a lockdown. A reporter on the scene snapped a photo of the White House roof and, completely by accident, captured the missile launcher as it was being deployed. It just brilliantly illustrates a key point. The most powerful defenses are often the ones you never even see. Now, on a smaller scale, there was an incident in 2015 where an employee accidentally landed a hobby drone on the lawn.
After that, a dedicated anti-drone system was installed. So now, if an unauthorized drone is detected, the White House deploys its own drones that fly up, physically attack the intruder, and shred its propellers, causing it to crash in a matter of seconds.
So we've covered the building, the ground, and the air. Now let's focus in on that final, most intimate layer of security, protecting the president from direct personal harm. I know it sounds like something straight out of an ancient history book, but it is absolutely true. Just like the kings of old, the US president has a personal food tester. Their entire job is to taste everything the president eats to make sure it hasn't been poisoned. And we know this is a real thing because in 2013, President Obama famously declined to eat during a luncheon for one simple reason: his personal tester wasn't there. So, let's just step back for a second. We have a fortress of a building, an all-seeing perimeter, a guarded sky, and a personal shield. But here's the really crucial point. That's only the stuff we know about. So to recap, we've seen how the White House defends against pretty much every kind of threat. You've got the impenetrable shell with its ballistic glass and smart fence. Then there's the all-seeing perimeter with infrared sensors and those incredible guard dogs. Up above, the skies are guarded by missiles and anti-drone tech. And up close, you've got a personal shield that even includes a food tester. It all comes together to create a near-impenetrable fortress. But that leads us to one last really big question. If a whole missile defense system could stay a secret for almost 2 decades, what other defenses are in place right now that we have absolutely no idea about? The true extent of the White House's security is in itself a secret, and it really leaves you wondering what else lies hidden to protect the world's ultimate fortress.